I would like to greet you all who came to this wonderful evening for the American Institute of Fine Arts, to the show, to listen to Ildy, our gracious hostess. We would like to thank her for offering her house, and this is the second time this year. Ildy has been working on this show for 4 years, and today is the first time she's trying it out on us. This will be the one-woman show. This is a book that she wrote about her life, her experiences. I would like to introduce and greet Ambassador Balázs Bokor, the Consul General of Hungarian Republic.
That's why you have your manager.
My manager just talks. He doesn't do anything.
Thanks.
Let's jump into the water. When I left my homeland many years ago, I left my life behind. Memories overflow. I remember the river where we used to play, shadows of my childhood. I'm coming home today. Budapest, my pretty city, you live forever in my memory. The chain bridge and the citadel, on the hills a silent sentinel. Budapest, my pretty city, you live forever in my memory. When loneliness keeps us apart, the gypsy music heals my heart. My childhood was full of beautiful yet painful memories. I was born in a part of Hungary that later became Yugoslavia, and we lost everything twice. First to the war, and next to the communists. My mother had the hardest time to adjust because she grew up as a spoiled socialite, accustomed to nannies and housekeepers and designing dresses from Paris and London. In the dark days of communism, her family fortune, the land, the wineries and the factories, they were all confiscated by the government. Father, on the other hand, came from somewhat impoverished but old nobility. Therefore, we were considered as enemies of the people. Aristocrats and intellectuals were often deported to labor camps. Deportations usually happened at night when no one could see. We were hiding in a little village, destitute, with our bundle of clothes and food at our bedside, in case they came for us in the middle of the night. We were living in fear. When singing songs of my country, my mother often cried with the land she lost. A piece of her soul has died. I traveled in many places, but I always felt alone. Now, with an aching heart. Today I'm coming home. Budapest, my pretty city, you live forever in my memory. When loneliness keeps us apart, the gypsy music heals my heart. Mother now learned to get up at crack of dawn, to chop wood with an axe, wash clothes in the river, and carry heavy loads of coal from the basement, and pluck out the feathers of geese to fill up our pillowcases. I remember her crying when she twisted the necks of live chickens in order to feed us. This hard life transformed the spoiled socialite into a humble and compassionate human being who hid her thick shiny hair under a faded scarf to blend in with a village woman. Father, once a prominent international lawyer who spoke 8 languages and had practiced law in 3 countries, it must have been hard for him hiding in the village and give legal advice in exchange just for eggs, potato, and lard. When a retreating unit of Russian soldiers passed through our village, they committed atrocities, burned down homes, and killed innocent people. One night, a horde of drunken soldiers invaded our village, poured into our house. My terrified mother pushed me in the middle of the room and whispered, "Ildy, go and sing for them." I was only 3 years old, but I sang my heart out. I danced and threw them kisses, and they gave me a standing ovation. They sang with me, they tossed me up in the air and passed me around. A tall soldier pulled out a faded photograph out of his pocket of his daughter, a blonde little girl on a swing that looked just like me. He held me tight in his arms, and I will always remember, he had tears in his eyes. We were supposed to hate the Russians, but I felt sorry for this broken soldier. I know he wouldn't harm us. All the women in the village were raped that night, but miraculously, we were spared. My mother always credited me for saving our family, but I think it was singing. Music is powerful. When you sing together, you accept each other. I think that was a pivoting moment in my life that shaped me into wanting to touch people's lives through my music, through my songs. Well, my little brother and I, we didn't have toys as we grew up, so we learned to play with pots and pans. But my favorite pastime was chasing butterflies in the fields. They came in all kinds of shapes and colors. They were so beautiful. I wished to be one of them, to be free instead of being afraid all the time. I hated when we had to whisper and hide from the Russian soldiers who by now have taken over our country. Butterflies were free. So many years later, I wrote my very first song on a theme of a butterfly, and in the 60s, I'm making myself younger, in the 60s, it was often played in the radio. I wrote it in French, of course, and translated it into English, and in Hungarian. I always write in 3 languages. Butterfly, butterfly, you never, never learn to lie. You don't know the rules. The game of love sometimes can be cruel. got to fight. Butterfly, learn to fly. You've got to learn how to be free. Don't depend on me. I'll fear I'll hurt you when I'll desert you. Don't go near the fire. Forget about the desire. Don't fly near the fire. You'll burn your wings. Butterfly, you are the butterfly. I am the fire. Don't come too close. Don't follow your desire. And in Hungarian, ki tűzzel játszik. Hamar elér, s te mágnesként futsz a tűz után. Ha túl közel szállsz a tűzhöz, ha túl közel szállsz a tűzhöz, ha túl közel szállsz a tűzhöz, elégnek szárnyaid. I long to be free again like the butterflies, or the gypsies whose caravan came to settle by the river. The villagers spread frightening stories about the gypsies. Don't you go near them, I was warned. They kidnap little girls like you, poke their eyes out, and force them to beg for money on street corners. I was frightened by the gypsies, but one day I met a gypsy girl playing in the field. She was chasing butterflies just like me. Her name was Rupa. She took me home to her wagon. At her camp, I ate with them and watched them sing and dance and play guitar and of course play violin around the campfire. I never forget one gypsy girl who danced so passionately, her skirt hitting the fire, embers flying, magical like shooting star. The gypsy girl could dance till the night was through. The gypsy girl in trance showed off what she knew, and everyone was watching. The men all wanted her. Her eyes were hypnotizing. They loved that gypsy girl. On the dance floor, stopped dead in her trap. A man came through the front door, so tall and dressed in black. Their eyes met as they sparkled. She knew he wanted her. As he took her red rose at her feet, she loved that gypsy was the perfect match, with a blessing from above. And everybody knew she was his precious pearl, but she cheated with his best friend, so he killed that gypsy girl. came marching down armed with pitchforks. They chased away the gypsies and burned down some of their wagons because the villagers thought I was kidnapped. I felt bad for the gypsies. They had touched me, and I fell in love with their brazen eyes and their passion for life. Well, one day, my people got enough of the political nightmare of the communist regime. They took the streets and heroically revolted against the Russian army. Men, women, even children fought against the Russian tanks, but tragically, not one country of the free world helped us. So we were outnumbered and we lost. October of 1956. We were fed up with dirty politics. Like a roaring tiger, we broke off our chains, blood-stained flag of freedom flapping in the rain. Freedom. Everyone fought, even little boys. Molotov cocktails replaced their toys. They heard their mothers' cries as they lost their lives. For each freedom fighter who died, on the snow we lit a candlelight, millions of candles burning in the night, yet we lost the fight. Freedom can be compromised. Freedom never dies. Freedom. Shortly after we lost the revolution, Father found a way to escape our country. Again, for the third time, we had lost everything. We had to leave behind our home, our friends, and our beautiful country forever. I'll never forget our first night of freedom in Austria, beyond the Iron Curtain. We were penniless and homeless refugees with only one suitcase in hand, lost in a turbulence of Russian people who didn't understand our language and who didn't care about what was happening to us. Then, Father opened his arms and said, "Children, from now on, we don't have to whisper anymore." For me, that was freedom. It was difficult sleeping in a train station on hardwood benches. I felt so scared, so abandoned without a home. But we had each other. And it was all worth it to be free. And today, whenever I see a homeless person, I take the time to stop and give, because I remember how it feels to be broken but free. The old man's home is the street. The autumn rain is almost sweet. He's begging with his rugged hand in the trash-covered no man's land. The wind hole keeps him from the storm. His cardboard box is nice and warm. The bottle of wine under his arm helps to heal, it means no harm. I choose to be lonely but free. I've got my pride and dignity. I wanna be wild and free. Respect my choice, don't pity me. I've got no home, he said and grinned. stand shields me from the wind. Some people win, some people lose. I had a dream, now what's the use? I had a home, a job, yes ma'am, but I lost it all to Uncle Sam. The way I live, it's what I choose, and drown my pain in smoke and booze. I choose to be lonely but free. I got my pride and dignity. I wanna be wild and free. Respect my choice, don't pity me. The autumn rain is damp and cold. It doesn't help when you grow old. It's hard to beg with a shaking hand. When you cough up blood, the wine tastes bland. When the old man died in the street, the autumn rain was almost sweet. Where he's buried, no one knows. Well, it's just the way the story goes. He'll live with me in memory. He'll live forever, wild and free. He'll live with me in memory, broken but free. That's his legacy. Broken but free. That's his legacy. The old man's legacy. The old man's legacy. Broken but free. Can you imagine leaving your home forever with just one suitcase, knowing that you will never return again, never again? Well, what would you put in that suitcase? Think about it. We were placed in a refugee camp in Austria, wanting to go to France. It broke my heart to see my mama cry all the time, missing her homeland. I said to her, "Don't cry, Mama. I'll make your dreams come true for you." She said, "Well, what are your dreams, little Ildiko?" I hesitated, because when I tried to share those dreams with my classmates back in Hungary, they laughed at me. They scorned me. They made fun of me. Well, would Mama be laughing too? I took a deep breath and I said, "Dream number one, I want to go to school in Paris, to law school in Paris. Dream number two, I want to be a star." That's when my mama started to roll her eyes. Dream number three, "Mama, I will build you a white mansion by the ocean near Hollywood where the stars live, with a sparkling pool, crystal chandeliers, and tall palm trees swaying in the ocean breeze. And Mama, I'll plant your favorite flowers in our beautiful garden. You will sing and smile once again like you used to before the war," I was told. Mama never smiled when I grew up. She only complained. Mother threw her hands up to the sky. Where did I go wrong? I bet it's your father. This optimistic fool who fills your head with those crazy dreams. But my father was my hero. When he fought in the Yugoslavian army against Hitler as a young officer, a German fighting plane shot his military convoy. He lost his right arm in the bomb explosion. Immediately he tore off his shirt and made himself a tourniquet. And as he stumbled toward the military hospital amongst burning buildings, falling over corpses and debris, it's his determination, faith, and optimism that helped him to reach the hospital's threshold where he finally passed out. He only woke up when the doctors amputated his nerve endings because there were no more anesthetics left for his surgery. War times. When father came home from the war with a missing arm, mother got hysterical. She broke down and cried. "Don't cry, Anushka," father said. "In every bad situation, there is always something good." "Something good?" mother replied. "Are you out of your mind? What's good about losing your arm?" Father smiled. "It's a blessing, can't you see? I only lost my arm when everyone else in my convoy lost their lives. They're all dead. So it was a good thing to lose my arm." Well, father left me a beautiful legacy. His eternal optimism. Not even the Nazis, the communists, or his handicap could ever break his spirit. And strangely, I never saw my father as handicapped. One day, someone pointed and said, "Here comes a crippled's daughter." And I looked around because I wanted to see her. And then I realized that they were pointing at me. It couldn't be because my father wasn't handicapped. His one hand was more useful than most people's two hands together. We had suffered the atrocities of war because of power, greed, and dirty politics. Dirty politics sounds familiar? And today we watch the casualty of war on our comfortable sofas, munching on chips, drinking Coke and channel surfing, from mutilated bodies to soap operas, from bomb explosions and orphan children to used car salesmen, and from decapitated hostages to pantyhose commercials. I realize how desensitized we become by the TV coverage of death and human suffering. This is a song I wrote with Chris Conrad about this subject. I am your television. Television. I bring you dreams. Dreams. Relax. Relax. Watch me. Watch me. Whispers, weightless bodies, faces washed in mud, lifeless, broken children, waiting for the flood, universal pardon for this tortured land. Close the silent coffins, cleanse our guiltless hands. Dona is Domini. Hope springs eternal from the heart of man, healing our indifference with this requiem. Healing our indifference, watch the requiem. Watch me. I am your television. Don't think. But the frightening images just don't go away, because I lived it. Refugee camps, barracks, peeling walls and watered down soup, images of taking showers, women together, naked like cattle, sleeping on a row of mattresses on the floor. I hear crying babies as I am trying to read in the feeble yellow light of a dangling, swinging, naked light bulb. Lying on my back, I watched those naked light bulbs till they blinded me. To block out the pain, I closed my eyes, and the naked light bulbs magically transformed into shining, shimmering crystal chandeliers. To block out the pain, I dreamed that I was dressed by Christian Dior and Chanel, even though in reality my clothes were from the Red Cross and the Salvation Army. My shoes were too big, my dress too small, and my winter coat way too long. We had no money. The only shopping I've ever known was window shopping, but it was so beautiful, especially around Christmas time. One chilly afternoon, I admired an elegant socialite. My mother must have been like her in the past. The woman was so beautiful. I approached her eagerly and tried to touch her exquisite fur coat, but she slapped at my hand with disgust and said, "Beggars should not be allowed on the street." With teary eyes, as I watched her disappear, I decided that if one day I became rich, I'll never be like her. Nobody should ever be humiliated for being poor or for being different. Soon after, we were transferred to a refugee camp in France, our final destination, the land of my ancestors on my father's side. My father was half French. Then the authorities separated us and sent me to a faraway boarding school run by strict nuns. I was just a number, a charity case, and no one spoke my language. I couldn't even explain if I had a headache or if I was hungry. On weekends, all the girls went home to visit their families, but I couldn't afford a trip home, so I slept alone in the deserted school, my footsteps echoing in the huge, empty dormitory. I cried myself to sleep at night. I missed my family, and I was scared. Some of the students at school never saw a foreigner before. They came to touch me with curiosity. A carrot-headed girl named Colette lifted my hair and yelled out, "She's got ears like we do." Another asked, "So why doesn't she ask questions?" "Because she's a foreigner, dumbbell." Soon they were fighting over who was taking me home for the weekend. Finally, I was becoming popular. They liked me. Then one day I overheard Carrot Head in the hallway, "Well, whose turn is this week to drag home the stupid refugee?" Then it hit me. I was an assignment. It wasn't me the girls invited into their homes. It was the school's refugee that earned them points with the nuns. I was a commodity, nothing more than a charity case. It was then, in my darkest hour, I had a new dream. Well, why couldn't we all respect each other, regardless of our beliefs, religion, or the color of our skin? Why can't we all live in harmony and be part of a big, loving family? I had a dream of love and peace on earth, where everyone would have the same sacred rights from birth, the right to peace on earth. I had a dream where everyone could win, regardless of your deep beliefs or the color of your skin. Yes, everyone can win. Hold your head up proud and high. Let's save a circle of love from a new start. Let's all have a dream of love and peace on earth, where everyone would have the same sacred rights from birth. The right to peace, the right to love, the right to respect, honor. Father was now nominated professor teaching international law at the Paris Sorbonne University, and I transferred to a school in Paris. For my 16th birthday, I received a gift from my father that would change the course of my life forever. A guitar. I knew my father really couldn't afford to buy a guitar because in France, professors are paid very poorly. And we had to start everything. We had to buy everything from chair to tables. We had to start our life over. But I was so grateful that later, in order to try to repay him, I decided to faire la manche, which means songwriters and students like me now, because by now I was a law student, we hung around in coffee shops, sang our songs, and collected the money. Some of the singers became pretty famous this way. I was pretty happy about it until a young man put a bill in my hat, and his date yanked it back. "Don't bother," she said. She turned to me and said, "You will never amount to anything. Nobody wants to hear your gypsy music." I looked up and stared straight into the face of Carrot Head. A young black American stood up from the next table and put a big bill in my hat. He tapped on my shoulder and said, "Don't give up, kiddo. You've got what it takes. Hang in there and show them what you can do." He disappeared, but his words are still lingering in my head. He seemed to know about injustice and humiliation. There is so much prejudice, hatred, and violence in this world. My next song is about racial discrimination and how can we stop insanity. In a small town of Louisiana, they both met at the church and deeply fell in love, ending a lifetime of search. Her name was Mary, her skin was white as snow, cheeks was black as ebony, they had such a loving glow. But outside in the world, people were dying from each other's hand. Who can be denied? Ooh, so much pain, so much intolerance, hatred and injustice don't make any sense. Ooh, so much pain. After a Sunday Mass, they were harassed at night. Some men broke in and burned their home and killed Jake in a fight. They put a bullet to the eye of the faithful wife because she loved the black man. Mary was her life. Ooh, so much pain, so much intolerance, hatred and injustice just don't make any sense. Ooh, so much pain. You and I, we can make a difference. You and I, we can stop this nonsense. Yes we can, yes we can, yes we can. Let's live in harmony. Let's open sanity. watch a popular TV show that showcased talented young songwriters called Le Petit Conservatoire de Mireille. Since we couldn't afford to buy a television, I often stopped by shop windows and watched the singers with excitement. I wanted so much to be part of them. I dreamed of it at night. One day, they announced there was a contest. Here was my chance. My brother warned me, there are going to be thousands of hot professionals competing against you. You don't stand a fighting chance. But I had a dream, maybe a crazy, daring dream, and I was going after it. So I put on my best Red Cross outfit. And the next thing I knew, I was on live TV. Blinding spots, lights, huge cameras, an army of technicians swarming around me. I was terrified. Half of the country was watching me as I started my song. Bonsoir, Johnny, bonsoir. And Mireille said, sing out loud, ildy, just sing out. Il est minuit, nous devons nous quitter. I looked around and the audience were smiling at me. Bonsoir, Johnny, bonsoir. Merci de m'avoir accompagné. Dans un instant, nous allons tous deux nous quitter. Et j'ai déjà envie de pleurer. Toi, tu voudrais bien savoir pourquoi. Mais voilà, je ne te dirai pas au bout de nous ce soir, Johnny, etc. And I had to sing another song. I chose one, losing my home, my country and my friends, but having my guitar and my songs and my dreams. Loin, loin, loin de mon pays, de mes amis. Loin, loin, loin de ceux que j'aime dans la vie. It was a sad song, I guess. And when it was over, they announced the name of the winner of the competition. After the show, I called my mama in tears. Mama, Mama, I won! Have you seen me on national television? Do you think I was terrific? Really? Oh, Mama, are you seeing? Eddie Barclay, the famous record mogul, called in. He wants to sign me up. It's the largest record company in the whole country. Mama, your daughter is going to be a star. You won't have to slave anymore. I'll buy you clothes and food and even a television. Oh, no, not a black and white one. A color television. Yes, Mama. And I'll take you to a real restaurant. And you can order anything you want to. I realized two of my dreams. Going to school in Paris, going to law school in Paris, and becoming a star. No, I am going for my third one, Hollywood. And guess what? Mama didn't roll her eyes anymore. She was just amazed. This is a song I wrote with Phil Barr. And it's been retained for a film. I'm still holding my breath. I'm drifting alone in the dark streets of Hollywood. Ghosts come alive. Just a feeling, just a midnight mood. I'm not afraid. They're my friends, transparent phantoms. I hear them whispering from marble catacombs, and the echoes are this empty stars of yesterday, they're still here today. The legend comes alive in my solitude. The stars of yesterday, they're still here today. They're living in my heart and my sweet memory. The stars of yesterday, they're still here today. They're living in my heart and my sweet memory. I can see Greta Garbo, Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, James Dean in his car, and Elvis Presley playing his guitar. The stars of yesterday, they're still here today. They're living in my heart and my sweet memory. They're living in my heart and my sweet memory. You are a very warm public, thank you. I felt like a budding star, like a budding star of Hollywood, when I led the studios following my very first television show. And as I am walking on the Boulevard Saint-Michel, under a large maple tree, there is a striking older man walking alongside of me. He has the most peculiar mustache I've ever seen, curling up in abrupt points. He's smiling at me. Aha, he must have seen me on television. His long fur coat is open with an elegant negligence over an expensive wool suit, and his silk handkerchief is peeping out of his pocket, and his shoes are glossy. His hands are covered with very fine leather gloves. Next to him, close to the curb, a Bentley is following his footsteps, driven by an attentive, uniformed chauffeur. The funny little man keeps winking at me from the corner of his eyes. I just ignore him and turn my head away. Voila. But now he's stepping closer. He announces victoriously, "I just saw you on TV." I'm thinking, big deal. So did the rest of the country. Did you really lose your country, young lady, or is this just a publicity stunt? Come on, you can tell me the truth. And how come you speak perfect French with no accent? Any explanation for that, my dear? I am really starting to dislike this arrogant man. How dare he doubt me? And those cute little pigtails, are they real? He slips off his right glove and playfully pulls on my hair. You look so vulnerable on TV, and you have your sad song voice as touching as the death of a swan. But you are also pretty. He steps in front of me and stops me. Yes, very pretty indeed, he whispers. Oh, don't move, he orders. Hold this expression. I like you distant and melancholic like this, and he's tracing the contour of my face with his glove, holding it just like a paintbrush. The soft touch of the leather makes my skin tingle and sends chills to my spine. There is a strange glow in his eyes, like a master at work. I'd like to paint you, he says with a theatrical gesture that gives him a godlike appearance. You'd be my Madonna, a sensuous Madonna, mind you, without any clothes on, just a long shawl wrapping around your body like a snake nestling its head between your small little breasts. They're small, aren't they? This is more than I can bear. This man, who easily could be my father, is rude, shocking, and disrespectful. Whom does he think he's talking to? I am the daughter of an eminent law professor, mind you, and I am on my way to become a star. No. Next week I have 5,000 posters pasted all over the billboards in Paris. So who is this little vermin to treat me like this? By now there is a crowd around us, probably all my fans. How can his past humiliate me in front of them? I am furious. Aha, I see you're blushing. Good, good. So you're not a fake after all. I'm sorry, but I have to go. Goodbye. But he grabs me. Don't go yet, he pleads. Listen, I am having a party at my hotel Saturday night. Come along and sing for us. Going to his hotel? Are you kidding? The pushy little guy is now handing me a piece of paper he tore off from an envelope in his pocket and jotting down Hotel Maurice, Saturday night, 8 o'clock. And he's signing it with a fancy curving gesture that he finishes up in the air with elegant circles like a ballet dancer before ceremoniously handing it to me. I'll introduce you to my wife, Gala, he whispered. He tries to appear harmless while his eyes are glued on my lips. Don't be late, his expression changed again abruptly, and he whispers to my ear, oh, baby, you look so innocent, but you've got such sinful lips. And he pulls me closer. Can I kiss you goodbye, he asks, but he doesn't wait for an answer. He's pressing his thin lips over mine, his enormous silhouette overshadowing me, dark like the spread wings of a victorious vulture. Helpless, I am pinned down. I am shocked, surprised and angry. His mustache is hard as a claw, and it hurts as he's pressing himself forcefully against my body. Yet his fur coat feels soft, animal-like, and I must close my eyes for the aroma of his perfume is spinning my head a little. How appalling! His lips sucks mine into his mouth like a vacuum cleaner, licking them and wetting them like an octopus, and then, oh my God, his sharp-pointed tongue is forcing open my mouth, invading my inner cavity, turning and swirling and probing to my tonsils like a giant dragon wagging its tail. The tongue is huge, alive, and crawling all over inside my mouth. I want to cough it out, cheer it out, and spit it out. I am gagging on it. That tongue is frightening and like a horrible nightmare, and I want to wake up. Finally, he's retrieving with a triumphing smile, like a victorious gladiator who just conquered the enemy or killed the beast. He gives me a last wink and disappears to the crowd into his chauffeur-driven Bentley. And the crowd is now cheering, applauding and whistling while I want to die. I wipe off my wet lips from this man's disgusting saliva and run to the first washroom to rinse out my mouth. Yuck! I never had a French kiss before, but God, this was disgusting. A blonde girl followed me to the washroom. Oh, that kiss. I'd do anything to be kissed by Salvador Dali. Salvador Dali. And the next day, I opened the newspapers, and the party I missed at the Hotel Maurice was pasted all over the pages, Salvador Dali with his wife Gala. I guess it would have been safe for me to go after all. But I was terrified to be attacked once again by his crazy Don Quixote fighting windmills with his pointed mustache. That was my first kiss, signed Salvador Dali.